Hello, everybody. Welcome back to not another isekai. And today, man, we are right at the end of the season. I believe, let's see, one, two, three, four, five, six, six. Six of the 10 shows that we got this week are finished. One of them is kind of cheating. One of them is Vinland Saga, so that's going to go through spring. But six of the 9 that could be finished that aren't 2 cores are wrapping up. So we're officially in the transition period. So that's always fun. Um, yeah, that's really it. Let's start. Let's just get into the finales of all this stuff. And I do it every time. Okay. All right, so we got My Hero Academia Season 6, Episode 25. This is the end. This one to me felt very much like an epilogue. Um, I mean, last episode was, they were getting Midoriya in there. We had some fighting. I felt like last episode felt more like the finale and more of like, hey, we're all together with him. We may not like it, but we're gonna accept these here. And all the heroes kind of, wipe the sweat from their brow, and they're like, okay, cool, we got past that. Now we can really start digging in and coming up with some sort of plan. And this time it was like, okay, I mean, there was some cool stuff, like Stain is back. We saw his little backstory where he escaped from Tartarus and wasn't really with all the All for One stuff, and he wanted to give the information to All Might, which gives them a time frame. And it turns out, if I was reading that correctly, it turned out that Shigaraki will be ready to do whatever he's got to do in just 3 days. So he got 72 hours, which is way shorter of a time frame than what they thought it was going to be. So I don't know what kind of plan they're going to concoct in 3 days, but that's going to be tough. And it was also cool seeing him again because he was one of those characters that was pretty cool at the time, and he was like the hero killer, right? Like he has his own like vigilante sense of justice. It was for the most part wrong, but it was cool to see here where he wasn't immediately wanting to take out All Might because he actually looks up to All Might. I suppose he believes that All Might is one of the few ones that actually stands for what he stands for as well. But for him to give them that information was like, okay. And I mean, something I would have never expected, because up until this point, I mean, them them kind of scrambling for any information, because they, the last time they were really on them was when they went to the mansion, and the mansion blew up, and All for One was like, I'm one step ahead of you. So that didn't really work. So now for Stain to be here and be the one to give them the info to have some sort of lead and some sort of time frame and see what's going on, that was unexpected. Also with that, we saw some bright light of hope, with the one woman who comes to the All Might statue every day and cleans it off. That was very symbolic, saying that, hey, it looks pretty bad, out there, but there are still people out there that believe in the heroes. They still believe in the system. They're not taking this one pretty major loss as, oh, well, all the heroes are bad and we can't trust the heroes anymore. That there are still people out there that are like, no, like we need these guys. we definitely need them. They've done right by us our whole lives, and then they take one huge L and we just turn our backs on them. Nah, that's crazy. So that was good. And then All Might kind of announces that the final battle is soon, so that puts everyone on edge, but also super eager, which I like, because like you can just tell how much all the students have been through in the past 6 seasons, where maybe like season 1, season 2, UA would have been like scared and freaking out and all that stuff, but now they're like, we're ready, we're gonna save the world. And that kind of touches All Might's heart, because he's like, man, they all look up to me because I'm All Might, but I'm really I'm really the one that has to catch up to them. And not only physically, because All Might doesn't really have his powers anymore, but just like because All Might was kind of scared. All Might was kind of floundering out there trying to figure out what he can do to help, and all the kids are like, "We're here." So, um, and then yeah, it just kind of ends with Midoriya at the very end, him having this crazy nightmare for All for One, and he freaks out, and then all of his friends are there, right? The whole team, 1A, class 1A, and they're like, "Hey, we're here for you. You're safe. We got your back. You don't got to worry anymore. You're in a safe place." And that's nice because, again, for a long time now, he's been by himself. He's been trying to shoulder everything on his own, and then now that he is, he has one of these nightmares. It's not like, oh, I gotta figure out how to save everyone. I gotta separate myself. Now it's like, oh no, everyone's here. Everyone is like his cushion, his like safety blanket, and it feels good because it is a very different feeling than what has been the past, I don't know, like 5 episodes, maybe more, whenever he decided to go Batman on us. So, and yeah, it does really feel like an epilogue to the season, but then also, very much a setup for next season, which I guess it did its job. Because now we know, okay, next season is going to pop off. It's going to go, we're going to come up with some sort of plan. We're going to get all the heroes. I mean, because even like, we had a little meeting where all the different countries and whatever, they were figuring out what to do. And they didn't really want to give up all their heroes so quickly. You can't, there's like, oh, there's paperwork. But all the top heroes were like, we don't care about paperwork. we're gonna go and help All Might. And even like the one girl, the Stars and Stripes or something, she already left. She's already on her way to Japan. She didn't wait for an answer. She's like, I'm out of here. So yeah, I think she's gonna be like a big character. I feel like they were hyping her up a little bit, so I wonder how important of a character she's gonna be in the next season. But it would be cool to see more heroes. It's always cool to see more, see what their quirks are, their personalities, all that. So yeah, that is really what the season building up. They already announced season 7. Very easy. I don't, from here on out, I don't imagine there'll ever be a time where my hero is like in question. Or like, oh no, is they gonna get another season? Like they are very, very popular. It is one of Shonen Jump's, I imagine, one of their main titles. So, I think they're gonna keep working this the same way they do with all the other big Shonen titles. But yeah, again, not really much. Just kind of some doors are opening up, like, again, with the Stain stuff, and then with all the hero stuff, like the overseas hero stuff. That's really all it was doing. So it's setting up next season, and yeah, I'm excited for it. This season is, I think, one of the best seasons of the show so far. I think it has been kind of up and down with the show throughout the first 5 seasons, but season six was good. And now we are really, I mean, you imagine season 7 really truly gonna be this like battle, this like real like all out war type stuff, which I feel like they touched on a lot this season, but we never really got there. And I think now, especially with All for One having everyone out of prison, like all the baddest heroes or villains, I think they can really do something crazy. But yeah, we'll see. Again, good season. Definitely has me excited for next season, which again, season 5 it did not fulfill that. So so this is already a step up. Next we got Blue Lock, episode 24, also the finale. This is them. Again, I was concerned because I was like, okay, I think there's maybe 2 episodes left, and I saw there's only 1. And I remember talking last week about how are they going to wrap up this game? Like, do the whole game in 1 episode? That seems weird. But then actually seeing it, I was like, oh, it makes sense. They were never supposed to win. This was never supposed to be a real match where we're going back and forth and, kind of ping-ponging with the goals. It was never going to happen. They absolutely destroyed them. We saw that Loki, the French prodigy, has incredible acceleration. And that's what kind of first tipped him off to, oh, these guys are different. Different for a reason. These guys are not in Blue Lock. These guys were not part of the leftover, like 300 people that they could kind of, wrangle up and turn into a striker. They're already here. And then from there on out, they just lose. Isekai'ed kind of realizes every one of their their powers, their strengths, their weapons, they're all overpowered. You know, the one glam guy, he can't jump as high as the other dude. You know, the one guy is way better at dribbling than Bakura is. You know, the one guy has crazy better passes and vision. Um, the one guy is overpowering the freakishly strong yet very uh, underconfident man on our team. You know, like every single thing about our team, about the Blue Lock team that was special, that was like, oh, these guys are the first to win for a reason. The other team just completely destroys them. They are notches above every single Blue Lock member. Again, their first goal was very reminiscent. I did talk about this. Very reminiscent of when Isagi first faced Rin, and I was like, "Oh, we scored. We can beat these guys." And then Rin's team just clowned them. Very reminiscent of that. And then even with the final goal, Rin, very worth noting here that Rin was the only person that didn't accept defeat. All the other 4 players were like, "Yeah, we're not winning this." There's no way. They just kind of accepted it and kind of like took in the experience. But Rin was still here. He was like, "No, we can win. We can still do that." And then he got completely clowned, completely destroyed, with just a single move. And yeah, so Blue Lock lost, unfortunately, but we do see that was really meant to be a learning experience, which makes sense. I feel like going into the match, that was pretty easy to see, where it's like, there's no way they're this good already to beat the World 5. Like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, if they were, it's like, all right, this team, go ahead, you can beat Japan now. Like, that's no way. But, it did hit all of them kind of differently, and, I do like that they all kind of took that as an experience, and they weren't, like, super down on themselves. I feel like Rin was down on himself because, Isagi was kind of talking about how, like, Rin was the only one that felt like these guys are my equals, and so I have to be better than them. Whereas everyone else was like, no, these guys are the top of the top, and we still have to get to their level. So that's why Rin felt differently about this match than they did. But even so, I do think it was important, especially for Ego, to like put them against and be like, okay, you guys are the best team, and they also did it for all the other people who passed the selection. But you guys are the best of the best. Let me put you against what the world considers the best of the best, and so you can kind of see your difference. But not only showing that, oh no, you guys have a long way to go, but also like, hey, these guys are real humans, And I love Bakura's comments on this, where he's like, I initially thought that these guys only belonged on the other end of it, on the other side of a TV, but now that we face them, it's like, okay, they're definitely better than us, but they're not like some monsters. They're not some like aliens that are, that we could never possibly dream of being on their level. Like, no, we can do it. We've already gotten much better since we've gotten here. We're not going to get to their level in a week, but they are human, just like us. They also started out somewhere. So, and I think that was the main, goal of this little World 5 match. And then after that, it's really just setting up for next season, I would say. We see that only 35 players out of the original 300 are still here. We got 7 teams of 5. So that is what's that? That's like 10%. So that's something. And we see all the teams coming out. We see a bunch of new players, which I'm very excited to see. I love that with sports anime, when it's like, okay, here's a brand new team full of players that you've never seen before, and you're going to get excited because there's limitless potential here. Like, they could have any sort of, special weapons, quirks, personalities, anything like that. I love that about sports anime, when it's just like, all right, here's more players. Now you get to see them for the first time and see what they're good at, and just like the main characters are. Let's just see them for the first time. So that was pretty cool. And also the way that there's 35 characters here. How are we going to distinguish all of them from each other? Give them crazy hairstyles, different eye patterns, classic anime. So Nagi's team is here. Nagi, Chiguri, and Baru, and 2 other players. So that was really cool to see. They were the second team too, so they had a chip on their shoulder. They were like, no, we're not doing this. Okay, we are getting there. We're gonna beat Isagi. Then we see pretty much most of the teams, or most of the players are people we've never seen before, which is cool. But then the Heartache is the final team, and we're waiting for Reo and Kunigami. And they did such a dumb, just stupid anime thing where it was like, oh, the last team, we're gonna show 3 players, and the 2 people in the back are silhouetted, and the one player's Reo, and we're like, yes, and the last player, not Kunigami. And that was really sad. And then this is all to create a villain, because now I don't remember his name, but there was the tan, pink-haired guy. He's awful. He sucks. I hope he loses. There's no one on that team I want to win anyway. I don't really care about Reo that much. I mean, he's good for like Nagi's story, I guess, but who cares? Yeah, it was very sad. Kunigami throwing dirt on Kunigami's name, but I mean, there is truth in it where it's like, if he lost, he lost. Like, what else are you gonna do? And then the big reveal, which is set up for next season, is that they want to shut down Blue Lock, and so they now have a last-ditch effort, a Hail Mary, to face Japan's under-20s team. And if they win, they will hijack. They use the word hijack the Japan's under-20s team. So they will then be Japan's under-20s team, which is super cool. Again, they're not expected to win. Again, Japan, they very quickly accepted the offer because it's like they're just a bunch of high schoolers. They're a bunch of high school nobodies. Like, we're gonna clown them, But we'll see. We'll see. Ego again. He might just be gassing them up, but he did say that he's confident that they are already better than that team. So the one little wrench though is that Japan's team added Atoshi, which is Rin's older brother, which is what he's like striving for to their team. So it's like, ooh, that might be a good player, So or it is a good player, but that might be a problem. But yeah, again, it's very clearly building it up, doing it in like the most obvious way possible. But again, it'd be interesting to see who they pick though, because I don't think they can just, a soccer team I don't think is 35 players. I mean, I don't know how many players are on a soccer team's roster. Obviously only 11 people are on the field at a time. So I imagine Japan clubs, they don't have just 11 players. That would be ridiculous. But 35, I'm not really sure. So I'm not really sure what this is going to be then. Like, are they still going to play each other to figure out who's going to be the 11 players? Because I don't imagine there's going to be rotations, because usually sports anime don't really do that, even though I feel like they should. Like with another sports anime, Kuroko's Basketball. It's obviously a basketball anime. I do know basketball, and I know that you don't just play your 5 starters for the whole game. You're supposed to rotate them out, because usually most players can't just play a full, I think it's 48 minutes to a game, right? Most players can't just play a full 48 minutes in a row. Like, that will destroy their body. So usually rotate people out. But in Kuroko's Basketball, no one ever gets rotated out unless they're doing awful. And then it's like, all right, you're not doing well. You're not a good matchup. Let's rotate you out. But like in just a regular game of basketball, players get rotated in and out. You don't just use 5 players for every single game. But again, I don't know how this will go, where it's like, maybe there will be rotation. Maybe it's just picking the starters. Maybe, So I don't know what the selection will be. They said it's in 3 weeks. So I don't know, again, like what training they're going to do, if they're going to do little scrimmages here and there. I don't really know, but it'll be interesting, and it'll be cool to see this big match. I don't know how many episodes second season will be. Is the whole season leading up to this? I don't think so. That would be a lot of build up. I imagine it's maybe like the first core. I mean, even that, a whole 12 episodes seems like a long time to spend on this, but we'll see. Good show, good season. I'm excited for the next one. Next we have The Angel Next Door Spoils Me Rotten, episode 12. Finale. This is a finale. This was great. This was a fantastic show. One of my favorite shows this season. Um, so let's see. Let's just get into it. They confessed. They confessed to each other. That's what we're waiting for. That is kind of something I've been talking about the last few episodes, which is like, are they going to end in a confession? Is it not? I remember me saying, I'm pretty sure I said this, where I was like, I think it will, because this is a classic like high school romance anime, and I feel like that just kind of happens. It's interesting though, because the one drawback to that is usually romance anime, the show leads up to the confession, because that's the exciting part. That's the exciting part of the show. That's the entertainment. That's where the little internal conflicts happen. And so it ends with the confession, ends with them together. 'Cause it's like, okay, there's really nothing else to tell. Like now they're just together and happy and whatever. Again, I didn't see a second season announced, so I don't know. Again, I don't really know the source material either. So, I think this is one show that could do more though, because even though the confession happened, like I feel like that's not necessarily the whole show. I feel like there is still potential for just good content, because they're still them. Like they still have their personalities, which create, fun little moments, right? And then even with how they're perceived by the rest of the school, how they interact with their friends, I still think there's potential for them to still do stuff and still even like, okay, now let's, because usually a lot of relationships in these shows, they don't play well after the fact, where it's like, okay, we don't really care about watching the relationship grow or them do stuff together, because we didn't care about that aspect of it. We just cared about them getting together. But this one I feel like is different, because their personalities, I feel like, play really well to just more show, and just like, okay, they're together, but like, I still want to see them do stuff. I still want to see them interact with each other at home. Maybe with like the parents, that could be fun. There's still some conflict there, even with like Mahiru's parents. So like there's still story that could be told there. If they still were to sneak around, not really be a couple publicly, like what that would play to, or even if they were to go public, what that would do for like different interactions with the, different students in the school, right? So, I do feel like there's potential for more story to be told, whereas with, like I said, other romance anime don't really go past the relationship, Yeah, that was pretty much the episode. I mean, it was leading up to that, Amane pretty much, spilled the beans to his friends. Was like, well, I don't really know if she likes me back, that sort of thing. And then so I can go at my own pace. And his friends were like, all right, man, if you say so. I mean, in their heads, they're just like, you're an idiot. You are dumb. You like her, she likes you. You guys just can't see it. There was the great moment, and it's so funny because if you guys care about Buddy Daddies, if you guys listen to me talk about that show, which we'll talk about later, that show had a very similar moment to this show, which that one also had them at like a little field day, and there was a really big emotional moment with a scavenger hunt. And so that happened with this show too, where it was like they like picked each other for a scavenger hunt, and Amane's was something beautiful, I think. And that wasn't weird. It was like, I mean, everyone in the school would agree with that. I mean, even the announcer was like, hey, it's hard to argue with that, or something like that, right? She had some like fun comment. And then Mahiru's, the announcer read it, and she was like, are you sure? You sure you want me to? And she's like, yeah, I got you. And she's like, all right, cool beans. And Mahiru's little note, or little task was to find something dear to her, or someone very dear to her. And that was like, whoa, like the whole school the whole school exploded, like because what does that mean, very dear to you, and all the guys were like interrogating Amane, and it was very bad. But I do like how Amane um, was kind of handling it all, where he wasn't like cowering, which I like, and he also wasn't getting upset. He wasn't like yelling. He wasn't, he was just very calm and level-headed, and he was just like, "Listen, guys, can you at least ask me one at a time? I can't answer questions if you're gonna ask them all at the same time. I can only talk to one person, you know." And he just laid it all out there too, which I thought was bold. I wasn't sure he was gonna do that, but I feel like because up until this point, I feel like he would try to skirt the truth because he doesn't want any trouble. But I think Mahiru making that move kind of gave him the okay in his mind to be like, okay, she's kind of okay with our quote unquote relationship being public. So now I'm gonna give some answers, I suppose, which is cool. He was kind of answering their questions a little bit, but I love um, two things about this scene. One, where he says, where one of the questions was like, um, you don't even care about our angel, or something like that, right? And he was like, you're right, I don't care about your angel. I care about Mahiru Shina. I truncated that a little bit, but that's basically what he said. And I love that because that was him saying, you're right, I don't care about the angel. I don't care about this fictional fantastical person that you guys have just created in your minds. This it's like storybook character that doesn't exist. You're right, I don't care about her. I care about the actual human, the real life human that I've gotten to know over, what was it, like a year, did he say? He's known her for like a year, like 8 months or something, he said. um I care about the person that I actually know. I'm the only one. I'm really the only one in this whole school that knows this person, and you all just look at her as the angel, um this like statue that's just this like perfect thing on paper that you guys don't treat like a human. And I love that line. And then the second thing is when Mahiru shows up and she just very calmly, but kind of aggressively, like just destroys this guy because she just starts asking questions and she starts like getting him all tongue tied because he's like, oh well, what do you like someone? Why do you care about someone like this? And he starts to talk about like his style, and she's like, oh well, okay, so all you care about is how someone looks. And he's like, well, no. He's like, so it was just stuff like that where she she gets him to explain why she shouldn't care about Amane, and like everything he says just sounds ridiculous. It's like, oh well, he doesn't really blah, blah, blah. And she's just like, you don't know him. You don't know him at all. And like also, he also doesn't criticize and try to dictate other people's relationships. She just flips everything on around him. Like every single thing he says, she's just like, well, that's not true. That's not true. And oh well, this is all you care about. Well, and it really makes him look like an idiot. Because again, I mean, it's just jealousy. It's not like there's no logic behind anything. Like when all the guys are upset, there's no logic behind it. It's all just jealousy. It's all just I wish I was him. I've been trying to get close to her forever, but it's like you don't know her. Like you don't, you know, Amane didn't even approach her. Amane didn't want to know her because she was the angel. It just kind of happened, and then they got to know each other. So yeah, I just love that. I loved watching that because she just walked up to this man and just very calmly looked him in the eyes and was like, "I'm gonna end your whole career." um, and yeah, then they confess at the very end. It's incredible. It's great. They hug. It's awesome. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That was the end of it. Because I mean, again, there's details there, right? They talk to each other about noticing each other's feelings, about not wanting to make the first move, about when they noticed, when they, their whole journey, all that good stuff. And it was great. It was a great moment. It was a great little scene. And yeah, and so that's where it ends. Again, I don't know if there's a second season that was announced or confirmed. I don't know anything about the source material, but like I said, I do think this show does have potential, does have, there are a lot of different routes that the show can take to tell more story. And I'll be here for it if they do. Next, we have The Ice Guy and His Cool Female Colleague, episode 12, also the finale. Oh, jeez. This is one that, again, very similar to, I've been comparing this show to the Angel show all season, because, they're both very similar shows in my mind. They have very similar, like, core values. Not at all the same show. I would never say they're the same show, because they're not. But this one ended kind of like how I thought it would end. They didn't end up confessing. This was a show where I was talking about it and I was like, this show could not end in a confession. It could just kind of end with them maybe having like an unspoken confession almost. And I feel like that is kind of what happened. So the whole show, they were just kind of on their own on this like work trip, I suppose. And it was cool. We had a lot of fun little moments here where, even they have, they got another matching set of, I don't know, like pots or something. It's like, oh, now we have 3 matching sets of dinnerware. So that was fun. But the craziness of the episode, I would say, came from when Himuro was having a fever and he turned small because, he's sick. So I suppose, we haven't seen him turn small in a while. So that was cool. Turned out this little like kid version of himself. So that was very cute. And then, kind of ruined the moment in his mind because he's like, oh, I was going to, we're here with Fuyutsuki, I'm going to, have fun together, whatever. Now, not only am I sick, but I'm small and it's weird. But we have the moment where he fell on Fuyutsuki on the bed when he was still a kid. It was very strange because, like, it looks weird. But then okay, well, he's not really a kid. He is an adult. But it was a moment where they just kind of, like, froze. And they looked at each other and they were blushing. And it was like, what does this mean? What do we do? What's the protocol? And, and so that right there, I feel like was almost an unspoken, like, we have these feelings right now. We kind of know what's happening, but neither one of us really knows what to do, because neither one of them has really ever felt something like that before. Neither one have ever been that close to each other physically before. So that was really interesting. And then it didn't really go anywhere, right? Like that was kind of like the like hotness of the episode, but it didn't go anywhere. And then they woke up and like Himuro felt bad for taking the bed, so he stayed up all night doing work, and that was funny. And then, even to show how the relationship has grown, like Fuyutsuki completely hitting the nail on the head as to why he was sitting in the chair and why he got no sleep. And he was just like, she knows me so well. It's scary. Yeah. And then we have a nice little reflection on the year where they reflect on everything that's happened so far. Pretty much just like a quick little montage of the season and, how it's been incredible. And then they return home, their friends welcome them home, and it's awesome, So, again, I feel like them being alone like that, and I don't know. Again, I obviously don't count that as a confession, but I think them going, away on like a work trip, and them having that moment, I think that is something that they're both going to think about for a while, and they're both going to be like, oh, what was that? Like, what was I feeling? What was Fuyutsuki feeling? Or Himuro, depending on whose perspective you're talking from. What's next? Like, what is the next step? Because that's not a confession. That is a big step. That is, a nice little, sticker on the sticker board of like, okay, here's another thing that happened, another event. Where do we go from here? So, again, I don't know if another season has been confirmed, but I would love one. Especially because they're not together yet. And like I said, with romance anime, at the very least, you have to get to where they're in a relationship. A lot of times that is strictly where the show will end. But we're not there yet. I could totally see them do a whole nother season. And then again, because them just get closer and closer, them have these other moments. It'd be great. It's awesome. So again, great show, great season. A good finale to kind of, it almost kind of feels like wrap up, but then there is like them at the hotel, which I feel like adds a little bit of spice to their situation, and I feel like could be a good setup for growing their relationship even further and like getting to, okay, we need to stop doing things as friends and like colleagues, and now we have to start working towards being like, together. So yeah, they're making the season. I'm here for it. Next, we have the magical revolution of the reincarnated princess and the genius young lady, episode 12. Also a finale. We've hit just finale so far. Yeah, this one was great. This one was awesome. We got a lot of what we wanted. I don't know how much of a setup it is for next season, and I don't really feel like it set up a whole lot. It felt, I mean, again, there are things about this finale that you could easily like trail into something for a second season, but it did kind of feel like if the show ended here, it very well could. I would love more of it, but if it did end, I'd be like, okay, yeah, I can kind of see how this was an ending. Again, I don't know about the source material, but I'd be interested to see what they do if they did do a second season. Yeah, so what do we have? So we have the duel, right? The big duel episode. Annis doesn't want to sacrifice anyone for her dreams, whereas Yuffie doesn't want Annis to be unhappy. And so they're kind of battling it out, and they're really battling for each other, each other's sakes. Like Annis thinks she's doing what she has to do for Yuffie's happiness, and Yuffie believes she's doing what she has to do for Annis's happiness. The duel is very quick though. We just cut and Yuffie wins because Annis is strong. She does have some knowledge. She does have the dragon essence or whatever, but Annis is but Yuffie is just naturally gifted. She's been working with magic her whole life because she was born with the magical ability. So she's just better. It's just a fact. And Annis is sad because now she knows that Yuffie gets to do what she wanted to do, and but that was the deal. That was the deal, and so now they're going to be rulers. We do have a nice moment, which is kind of I think what everyone was waiting for in the show, or waiting for it to happen. We knew we knew what kind of time it was. But before that happened, we did have Annis tell Yuffie that she was isekai'ed, basically, which is funny because this is one of the most low-key isekais that I've ever watched, because they don't really make a big deal out of it. It's just like, oh yeah, and it does explain a lot about like how Annis acts the way she acts, why she's so into magicology, that sort of thing, and like kind of how she can look at things from a different perspective because she wasn't born here, I mean she was, but she has memories of a past life, so that was really big. She's like, I haven't told anyone this, and like it was like really troubling for her. Like she was like, I have memories of a past life, and it's crazy, and sometimes I wonder if I'm fake, like I'm the fake Annis. Sometimes I wonder if me getting born into this new body or whatever, like if I like killed the previous Annis who was supposed to be here. So she kind of takes it in a route where I haven't really seen other isekai do that, like have that sort of perspective of it. And instead of just getting reincarnated somewhere, it's like, what if I took, like what if quote unquote Annis already existed, was already alive here, and then I like barged my way into her body and like deleted her soul, right? And now I like am intruding. I took away the possibility of someone better and whatever, like that, that sort of like crazy, anxiety induced, scenario, I suppose. It was cool because Yuffie was there and was like, no, that's not what happened. You're real. You're here. You deserve to be here. You've done everything. You're great. Everyone loves you. Like don't do that. And then they got together. Um, the level in which they got together remains to be seen. But because they kind of cut away. But I'm like, okay, that was interesting. Yuffie kind of taking the lead there, which makes sense with their personalities. But that was great. That was like clapping was great. That's what we wanted. We knew it was gonna happen. Um, and then basically it's mostly just epilogue, I would say. The duel, and then them kind of almost confessing to each other, I suppose, was like the meat of the episode. And then it was mostly just epilogue, where they want to make magic more widely accessible, expand the freedom. That's kind of their goals as leaders. They're going to lead together. And then we cut, and they have flying bikes now. Their dresses make them fly. Like, they are really upping the technology. And it's funny because Annis, with memories of a previous life, I'm sure has memories of, like, again, I don't know. I guess I don't really know what time period she's from. Like, is she from like a fantasy time period that just doesn't have magic, or like is she? I mean, again, you imagine whenever people get isekai'ed, it's usually from like present day, right? So like with phones and cars and planes and Wi-Fi, all that stuff. So if she did get there, it's funny to bring her knowledge where it's like, oh well, I know how to, like, I know that planes exist, and so like I can kind of bring that into this world, right? So that's kind of an interesting aspect. Anna says this great moment where she says that she is an immortal, because you remember Yuffie's immortal now. She made the contract with the spirit, whatever. So she's immortal, and so Anna is like, I'm not immortal, but I want to be with Yuffie forever, and so she's like, she has this new goal where it's like, I gotta figure out how to become immortal, you know. And then they're just, again, they're closing the generational gap, ending tradition, right? I mean, I think just with them like together, I think that's like a big thing. I don't know exactly how widely accepted it is for two females to be together, especially with them being co-queens of the kingdom. I don't know how big that is. And then we have a nice moment at the end where Annis kissed Yuffie on the cheek, and then so she kissed her on the lips, and it's just like, and Annis was like, hey. And I thought that was funny because again, it just very much shows their like personalities, right? Where she's like, when are you gonna? And then Annis is like, well, I don't know, maybe at some point, and then she sneak attacks her. But again, yeah, the relationship is so pure, it's so awesome. We're waiting for something like that to happen the whole season, and it does, and it's like, yes, mission accomplished. And again, the reason I say that it doesn't feel like there could be a next season is because, again, it just kind of ends. Like they're co-queens, they're making change, they're doing stuff, they're happy together. There's nothing there. Again, some shows do it very cheaply where they're like, and now there's another kingdom that wants to take them out, and we see them for like 10 seconds at the very end, and it's like, ooh, second season. But this show doesn't do anything like that, where I'm like, they could very well make it a second season. I would love to see them keep ruling and keep, see any like trials and tribulations from having to, expand the magic and all this technology. And, there very well could be stuff like that. Or maybe the show, we never get a second season, and the show just kind of wraps up nicely with them winning, them not only winning romantically because they are together now, but also them winning in they're queens. They're making changes, all the changes that they wanted to make, and that's all it has to be. So we'll see, I guess. Next we got Buddy Daddies episode 11. I believe next episode is the last one. This is just really, oh man, so much happened. This is the episode, man. If we thought last episode was sad, this one was like, strap in, because last one was very depressing, but this is one where it's like, whoa, like like more shocking sad and less depressing sad. So we have, it opens up with they're just sad. They're upset, right? They're like, oh, what's gonna happen? They're all depressed. Ray says Koski can have the apartment. There's no reason for them to be together anymore. Like, they don't need to be partners at this point. They were just kind of like together in the beginning anyway, just because it just kind of happened. They kind of met each other. I think they were on their mission together, right? And then they found Miri, and so that kind of kept them together. But now they're like, oh, there's no reason for us to like live together anymore. And I believe that was Ray's apartment. But Ray's just like, you can have it, I don't care. So they're going their separate ways, and Ray goes back to his dad because he's like, his whole life is ruined. Where Miri's gone, I mean, it's not like he doesn't like Koski, but I feel like we know Ray's personality, so we know that he's just trying to separate himself. He's just like, I can't deal with this. Everything is wrong. I'm just gonna go back and just kind of live my life. I guess. And so that's scary too. And then it's funny because there was some fan theories that I indulged in a little bit, and there was the fan theory that the mom doesn't care about Miri at all, and the dad, the Ray's dad, the boss, in his little organization, right? What's their name? I forget what the name was. They approached the mom, and they were gonna pay her very handsomely to like fake all this stuff and get Miri back, so that can ruin Ray and bring Ray back, right? Not the most outlandish theory in the world, but we see here that was not true for many reasons. The first one being the mom just wants Miri to love her. Like, we see them together, the mom and Miri, and she's just genuinely, because again, like, if this was all a ploy, she wouldn't be all nice to her. Like, we wouldn't see them together, like her trying her hardest, like her, like, uh, her like cutting up her fingers trying to make real like hamburg steak, because like that was the whole thing, right? Where she just bought that from the grocery store because it was cheap, and she's like, haha, dumb kid, she doesn't know the difference, what a loser. and like now she's like, oh no, I'm putting a real effort to my cooking, and I want it to be better, I want everything to be as perfect as possible for this child. Even just other moments too, where they're like sitting together, like drawing and coloring, and then Miri falling asleep, and the mom just like staring at her wistfully, and just like, I love this kid, and I want to do everything possible for this kid. Like, you can tell, like, no, she's changed, because again, it's very easy to look like you changed in front of Ray and Koski, but then now we're seeing her behind closed doors, and she's not faking. So I love that. I still feel like she has a lot. Well, we're gonna get to that in a second. But if we're just stopping in time right here, she has a lot to do to earn Miri's love. I feel like, where she spent a lot of time not loving this child and not wanting this child and thinking that Miri's the worst thing that ever happened to her. So her just coming back and be like, oh, I'm gonna make some better food for you, like, that doesn't cut it. But she is trying, and that's really the most important thing. So not completely redeemed, but definitely on the way up. So good job, mom. And then we have the tragedy, which is the whole last words guy. I don't remember his name. He shot the mom. Came in the apartment, shot the mom right in the stomach, and then shot Koski as well in the shoulder. So the mom not looking good. I'll be honest. Probably not going to live through this, and it turns out that she doesn't. Well, I mean, I guess we didn't really see her die, but it's like she's probably dead, And so now we have this crazy action scene, which is really fun, really really good, and Koski has this great thing where he's not winning, he's not really the most, he says that he's the brains of the operation, whereas Ray would be more of the like true like physical assassin. And then he kind of very obviously kind of tips that off, and then the last words guy's like, oh no, and he looks out and he's like, he's like looking over his shoulder for Ray, because he's like, wait, Ray's here? And then Koski's like, haha, got him, reaches for the gun, still gets outmaneuvered though, and and then Koski's like, doesn't matter, cops are here. And then the cops are here, so the last words guy leaves. But then it turns out that Q was acting as the cops. I don't know. He had like a speaker or something that did the sirens and whatever. I don't know. So that was very smart. That was very clever. Um, and drove the guy off. So now Koski can live. And the mom, again, the mom died, I suppose. The mom has some last words of like, take care of Koski. And this scene is so powerful to me because, again, the whole the whole action scene that was before this was really cool, right? I'm glad we're seeing more, more action because, there are spies, there are assassins, hitmen, whatever, right? Um, but seeing more action is cool. But then this scene where we've kind of come all the way around on these two characters and not only the relationship to each other, but the relationship to Miri, where it's like the mom is completely like, take care of Miri for me, take care of her. She loves you. Like, please promise me you'll do this. And Koski is like, no. Not because he doesn't love Miri, because he does, but because he's like, it is a parent's job. Like, he wants more than anything. He's like, no, you're not allowed to die, right? Like, you have to take care of your daughter. Like, she needs you. Again, because before this, he would have never said that. He would have been like, it'd be better off if the mom never comes around ever again. But because of how much he saw that she was trying to grow and be better, he's completely come around on her. Where he's like, no, you have to take care of her. She needs you. You can't you can't just leave her, right? Um, and so I just love that. It's so good. Um, yeah, and then they take her, and Koski throws up the idea of an orphanage, and Ray's able to convince him not to do that. 'Cause he's like, no, we're not gonna take her to an orphanage. Like, that's awful. Her to be in a bad situation her whole life with her mom, and the absentee, well, not the absentee, well, no, the father, I guess absentee maybe, and then an absentee father, and then like a stepdad that sucks, and then to be taken in by two dads, which are great, and to never really see the mom, and now the mom's dead, and now she only has you, and now you're gonna leave her too? No, bad deal, not good. Um, and then they tell Q that they're quitting the hitman business. They're done. Which is really interesting because this leads into what next episode is, and then what a possible future is. Obviously, I'll talk more about a possible second season next episode with the finale, but it's like, okay, they're quitting the hitman business. I mean, I feel like that takes off a big part of the show, but I guess just two cool dads taking care of a daughter, I guess would be a fun little slice of life show. I mean, that really is a lot of what this show has been anyway, which is like, we've kind of forgotten about the whole hitman stuff for the majority of the show. But next episode, I believe next episode is the finale. I imagine there's going to be a big like end conflict with the last words guy coming back, the boss being like, no, you have to no, Ray, no more games. Koski and Miri must die. You're coming back, and you are going to be the heir to the business like you were always meant to be. Again, there has been some things I've seen online. I haven't seen spoilers, but I have seen people mention that this show potentially has a very sad ending. I don't know what that means exactly. I mean, I don't know if that's maybe they were referring to what's already happened, which is like the mom dying and all that stuff. But we'll see. I mean, I would like to think that they take out the last word, that they just kill that man, and the dad just leaves them alone from here on out. Like they prove that no, we're not doing what you think we're doing. We're being separated. But that's the thing where it's like, if you betray the organization, then you are dead, right? So I don't really know. Are they gonna be on the run for the rest of their lives? Could that lead to a season 2, right? Does Ray kill the dad? That would be pretty crazy. But yeah, we'll see. Again, good show so far. Very shocking ending. I would have never guessed that the mom dies the next episode. So, yeah, good stuff there. Let's see. Next we have Vinland Saga, Season 2, Episode 11. This one is pretty great. This one is a lot of the other side of it, right? So, again, one thing I said that I do really like, obviously I love Thorfinn, Aenar has grown on me, but I do like how they are consistent with being like, no, there are many other characters, many other players. This show is bigger than just Thorfinn. And we saw that. We saw a lot of that last season. But we're seeing more of it this season as well. And I do like what they're kind of leading to. Where I talked about this, where I was like, okay, what is the rest of the show? Because they're kind of leading to them being able to buy their freedom. Kind of just, are they just gonna work on the farm for the rest of their lives? Like, do they really not have any big goals, or they not know what they're gonna do? So like, I was thinking, I was like, they're going to the war is gonna come to the farm, I think, and that's kind of what we're seeing here. So let's kind of get into it. So we have a nice little thing with Wolf and Canute where they're sparring, and Canute gets the better of him. He kind of used some deception where he throws his sister under the bus, and he throws the shield, and that kind of causes masking his vision, right? So that was cool. Kind of just shows how like crafty Canute is, and I think that does play to his character, even just how he is as a king, where he's not really necessarily the strongest, but he is very clever, and that is, I mean, again, he's got to where he is through many poisonings. So again, he might not like strong arm people like that, but he's very clever. He's very deceptive. He is very cunning, I'll say, and so that's how he has risen to his kingship. And he has this whole plan to requisition the land, which I kind of looked it up, and what it looks like is that, so I guess they're just gonna completely take over some land, and we'll talk about a little more that's at the end, but what I believe requisitioning means is that they're going to take over the land. It's going to be like property of the army, and basically just like everything, like they're now work directly under the army, and for any of like the army's needs, so like the money funnels straight to them, all the goods and their wares and everything funnels straight to them. So basically going to completely take it over. That's just something they can do, which is interesting because that is something that Kettle has kind of avoided his whole life, where he does give very, very generous gifts, I think once a year, right, to the old king, and it was like, all right, thank you for the gifts, and that kind of held him off. It's funny because he did the same thing with Canute, and Canute was like, all right, there's no reason, don't worry, there's no reason that I'm going to change the terms of what my father and brother did with you, like I'm going to keep the same thing. And Kettle, you can see visibly Kettle's sighs of relief. He's, oh, thank God. Because it is a very good deal on his part. Like that is very much helping him stay, rich, is not having to like really pay taxes. He just kind of gives a bunch of stuff. So, and then we cut off of them for a little bit, and we have Leif Erikson is that one merchant's adopted dad. Apparently that merchant's name is Thorfinn. Very, a lot of coincidences there, and in appearance. And so it's funny because then Leif is just like asking a bunch of questions, like, oh, you have a Thorfinn too, because he's talking to Kettle. He's like, oh, you have a Thorfinn too? Is he this? Is he that? Is he this? Does he kind of look like this? Where did he come from? What did he do? And and now you can tell that Leif Erikson has been traveling so many different places looking for a Thorfinn. I don't remember why. I don't remember, like, have we seen Leif Erikson before? Did he know Thorfinn as a kid? Like, did he know him personally, or is he just kind of like know of him? I don't really remember. But it's funny because he's been like looking for a Thorfinn his whole, and he's met many Thorfinns, apparently. So it's funny because like that might also be something that he ends up coming to the farm, and maybe that has some sort of connection to Thorfinn's home and his past. He's like, no, I know, like, I know you, I know what you've done, like I've been looking for you. So it'll be very interesting to see what Leif Erikson's what his motivations are, because I don't think we've seen them. We did see Leif in the very beginning of the season when Einar was being sold as a slave, and he asked me, he was like, oh, do you have anyone that looks like this, blah blah blah. And we're like, no, we don't have anyone that looks, no blonde Iceland warriors, nothing like that. So it's funny that we came back around. So I feel like there is a point to his character. I just interested to see what it is. And then we have the very end, basically, where Canute accepts Kettle's gifts, right? I already kind of mentioned that. And Omar has an outburst where he wants to serve in the army, but he can't cut the pig. He is very, very shameful. just him screaming over and over like a super cliche shonen protagonist. He can't really get. That's not good. I expected that he was supposed to make like a clean cut. Doesn't do it. He's like slicing it too, and I'm like, that's not. What are you doing, dude? And it turns out that Canute and his people talk in private, and they're apparently going to use Omar and requisition Kettle's farm. So that's like a big thing. I don't really know what that means again. Like again, I'm assuming that's what requisitioning is. They're going to use Omar somehow to like, I don't know, like they're going to make him join the army maybe, and like him be the link to the farm. I don't know, very strange. Or if he's gonna be like a martyr because he is a Dane. I don't know. It's gonna be interesting. So we'll see. We'll see what happens next episode. I'm thinking we're definitely gonna see the aftermath of that. I imagine we're gonna see that plan go in action. The whole like requisitioning. Maybe we'll jump back to Thorfinn. I don't know. I don't know. Next, though, we have Trigun Stampede episode 12. This is the finale, and a season 2 is confirmed. Is it a season 2 or was it a movie? I don't know. There is more content confirmed. So we have okay. So yeah. So basically, the beginning opens up and it's great. We have Nye who's going to connect to the planet core and turn all the planets into independence. Very sickening, right? I mean, at least for the humans, right? Because all them independents are going to take over the world. Not good for them. But I do like that it was Meryl's voice that brought Vash back. Again, this whole sort of conflict between Nye and Vash, and their perspective on humans, their relationship with humans, how they're so completely polar opposite. So for Nye to have this plan to basically take over the world with plants, and for it to be Meryl, a straight up human, to be the one that brings Vash back to then foil Nye's plans is just sort of poetic, I guess. Then we have this sick action scene. We haven't seen a really good one in a while, where Vash is just going off. Vash just like all the different like slow motion sequences, and like how he's standing on his own 2 feet against Nye, who has these crazy, like tentacle knife powers. The one part that I'm remembering in my head very vividly is he like throws the magazine to his gun, and it goes in slow motion, and he sweeps his gun through the air and like catches the magazine to reload. Is like so cool. Like it's so dumb, but it's so cool. It's so fun to watch. They just have this really cool action scene, and then it ends with Nye just straight up killing those soldiers in like one slice. And it's funny because again, the whole perspective on humans. I think that is the big through point in this whole show, and it really comes to a head in this finale, where he's like, they're all, they all see him as the humanoid typhoon, right? And he's like, no, get away. You're all going to die. You're all in danger. Please leave. And they're like, put your weapon down. He's like, no, please leave. Like, this is not safe. And then for it to end with Nye just killing them all in one sweep, it's just like, again, their perspective is different, where Vash does not care. Vash knows how the humans look at him, and he would like to change their opinion of him. But even if it doesn't happen, he's okay with that. He's just gonna stay out of their way and try to convince them again every time the dust settles. Whereas Nye is just like, kill them all. Kill them all. We don't need them. They don't like us anyway. They'll never understand. Let's just take them out. And then so they have the energy, and Vash is able to blast the energy into space to stop to finally stop Nash's plans and also save the planet. And Nye ends up killing himself in the blast. I suppose that was like a last ditch effort by him. He, I guess, realized that was really it. Like Vash doing that, there's nothing else I suppose Nye was going to be able to do to achieve the plan of having all the independence and trying to create a paradise for them. Even at the very end, he was in his own twisted way, thinking of him as you know, as Vash's brother, and he still kind of framed it as, I'm doing this for you, I'm doing this for us, you know. So I guess that was like, well, if this is it, then I'm never gonna be able to do it. So I would rather die. So yeah, I didn't expect that. Um, but it was, I guess, a very fitting ending to his character. Cause, because again, it was just both of their ideals. The whole show was both of their ideals clashing with each other, and Vash won. Vash has won. I mean, again, I don't think Vash wanted Nye to die, because again, he still loves him the same way I believe Nye loves Vash, but it was never gonna work out. It's never gonna work out. And then we have a little bit of an epilogue. We have Meryl. She's getting a newbie who specifically requested her. I don't know if we've heard of that character before, but that's cool. I'm sure we'll see more of that. And it's cool. It's kind of like restarting the process where it's like, what was the other dude's name? I don't remember his name. Meryl's mentor who died, right? So now it's like, oh no, Meryl's getting her own, newbie, right? So that's cool. And then we have the very end where Vash, Meryl hasn't really seen Vash in a while. He's still on the run, I suppose. People are just like, oh, he just disappeared. And then at the very end, I'm pretty sure that's Vash at the end who's playing the piano. So yeah, he's kind of secluded. He does have someone there. I don't know who that is. He's just it kind of reminds me of like Beauty and the Beast, where the Beast is just kind of on his own, secluded. He does have his own little servants and the people who take care of him, whatever. But he's just kind of very much a recluse. And so that kind of reminds me of Vash here, where he just, again, he lost Nye. Like, I'm sure that hit him super hard. So it's gonna be cool to see what next season or the movie or whatever brings, because we're gonna see a new Vash, new Meryl. I don't really know what the conflict is gonna be either, because Nye's gone. So, but yeah, overall, I thought the show was really good. I think it did have some points where I felt like it was dragging a little bit, but I think for the most part, when they focused on the Nye versus Vash stuff and not so much here's another character that was affected, and we're gonna see his story that you don't really care about, or at least I didn't. I think it was where it was at its strongest. So, we should see what they do next season, and just shout out to Studio Orange. They are consistently the best anime studio when it comes to 3D, like by far, like everything. Like, if you haven't seen their stuff, go watch Beastars, which is very good. I thought season 1 was much better than season 2, but season 2 is still pretty good. But please, if you really want to watch something incredible, go watch Land of the Lustrous. Land of the Lustrous is, I think, their magnum opus so far. I hate that they haven't done another season, because there is more story to tell there. They did that, and then they did 2 seasons of Beastars, which I don't know if they're doing more Beastars. But then now they're doing Trigun, and now more Trigun, so I would really want them to go back to Land of the Lustrous. But yeah, just shout out to them for being incredible. And again, for that action scene too, was like, at some point they're just showing off. So, yeah, and then we got Inspector season 2, episode 11. I believe there's one more episode after this. So probably going to be very much an epilogue, and probably setting up next season. It's what the episode's going to focus on. And this is the end of the, this little mystery, I guess, where Kodako just goes off, and she's like, this is what happened. So basically the answer here is that, so we have Subuki, who is the fox spirit, was going to kill Sumi, but then another person stabbed her to death. And we find out that is Kaoruko, yes. Found out that is Kaoruko. She's the murderer. She planned on doing this, and she was the one who finally enacted her plan. Everyone had a plan to kill Sumi. It just turns out that Kaoruko was the one that was able to do it. Was able to actually succeed, fulfill her plan. And it's funny because we have Sumi at the end, where she apparently yelled that her killer was a man to deflect from Kaoruko. So even at the end, She was trying to save her daughter, which is just a testament to a mother's love, right? But she still did it, and that was kind of threw a wrench in this whole investigation, right? Because it wasn't her, and then everyone else, all the other people in there, would have had alibis. So that was certainly something. And so yeah, she just kind of goes into depth, and Koya's the whole time there's like, yeah, but what about this? Yeah, but what about this? Oh, you already debunked that. You already disproved that, and Kodako just comes back with like, well, no, actually, this happened and that happened. There's no way she could have checked her pulse because she had gloves on, and she told uh, uh, Rion about this, and she, um, Subaku's there and saw it, and all this stuff about how like, no, well, I debunked it without this extra piece of information that I'm now revealing to you. Um, I, Kodako went along with the whole suicide thing because she wanted to see if the grandfather was actually going to, just admit to it and be like, yes, that's my story. And she even said that, where she was like, yeah, I wasn't going to say anything because I thought, I was going to see where it went. But now that you're trying to play off this whole suicide thing, nah, here's what really happened. And then Koya was not happy about that. He pulled the gun, which was very scary. I didn't think he was going to, I wasn't expecting that. He was like, they know too much. I trust our family to not spill the beans about this, but they came here. They were here for a reason. They want something out of it. We got to kill them. And we know that's not true. We know that Kodako and Kuro are just literally here to just tell the truth and just expose the truth. And just, we don't have any ulterior motives. And then, I feel like from here, from this point in the episode, we knew what was going to happen. He shot Kuro, but Kuro's immortal, so he took the gun, and, they just kind of play the whole supernatural element to it, which I thought was really funny, where he's just like, oh no, but I shot you in the head, like, that doesn't make any sense. And then Kodako's just like, we're spirits. we are gods, kneel before us. She's just like, yeah, we're basically just like a daydream. We don't really play by your reality's rules, so why don't we just forget this happened? You just let us walk away, and like I said, we're not gonna say anything. And it shook him. But I do love that because they never really played that card before, where it's like, oh no, and then they're like, no, we what do you think we are, mortals? So I thought it was very funny because even like, props to Kodako, because Kodako can die, from my from my knowledge of her, she can die. So when Koya pulled the gun on her and, like, pretty much put the gun to her brain, and she didn't even blink, I was like, Kuro's immortal, but I don't think Kodako is. I'm pretty sure she's not. She might be. I don't think she is. Maybe she, because she's like the goddess of wisdom, so like maybe she is like a true goddess, and she doesn't, and she's also not mortal. Maybe, but if she's not, man, she was nerves of steel. And then we have again some epilogue where Karuko tried to kill herself, but Koya was there to stop her because she was just, again, destroyed about the whole thing, where like her secret was out, like she was exposed. So that was really sad. And the grandfather was also hospitalized because he sort of collapsed under the weight of, because again, the whole point of this was, him trying to expose himself, tattle on himself for this whole situation, and it turns out that he inadvertently exposed his granddaughter. So that was that was something. Or his daughter, daughter, I don't know. Daughter, right? Because Rion is the granddaughter, right? Yes, gotcha. And then we see some good stuff here, which I think is what's leading to next episode, and I think is what's going to set up maybe a third season, which is him revealing that he talked to Rika before all of this. Which, if you forget, Rika is Kuro's sister or cousin, I think. So she also has some powers as well, just like Kuro does. And she was kind of the puppet master with this whole thing, where she was the one that was like, hey, why don't you talk to, my cousin is with this Kotoko lady, and she can sort of, she's with all the spiritual stuff, and she can kind of help you with all this. She was the puppet master with this whole this whole murder situation, this whole like murder mystery, which again led them to meeting Kotoko and Kuro. So what are Rika's motives there? Seems like they're always chasing her, and they don't really know what she wants. So I think next episode is going to be fully devoted to that, to like searching for her, and again maybe setting up another season where that is kind of their main goal, is them kind of clashing with Rika. Yeah, we'll see. Again, a very nice ending to this little mystery, flipping it on its head, being like, it was not a suicide, it was actually a murder, and here's how it happened. And also, you can't kill me because bullets are not my weakness. So yeah, excited for next episode, see how all this wraps up. And then yeah, last one, we got Tokyo Revengers season 2 episode 11. This one is 13 episodes, to my knowledge. So we do have a nice little couple more episodes to see how this wraps up. But because and the way this episode ends, it makes sense, because this episode, last episode I think ended, and we're like, okay, what is the rest of this show though? Like, why is there 3 whole episodes left? Like the conflict is over. He made up with Hinata. What are we gonna do in 3 episodes? So it makes sense though. So we have 2 big things, right? One smaller thing though is this episode does open up with everyone still loving Hakai, right? Hakai wants to like atone for his sins, and everyone's just like, I don't know what you're talking about, man. We got your back. You're saying, oh, I did the conflict, the truce, whatever. It's like, we don't care. We got your back. You're part of Toman. We still love you. And so that was nice for Hakai's character to still feel like he was part of it. Another small thing is that Black Dragon is now going to be assigned under the first division under Takamichi. Clearly some ulterior motives here, but that's part of the truce. That's part of, merging that. It's part of squashing, not really the beef, but just like absorbing Black Dragon. So I'm sure that'll be part of the conflict for next season, to be like, something is afoot. So a little bit scary there. But one of the big things that happen here, one of the 2 big things, is Mikey kicking Kisuke out for instigating the Christmas conflict. That's huge, because one, Kisuke's out, right? Normally, people don't really get expelled very often from Toman. So that in itself is huge. And then we have him exposing, to be like, hey, Kisuke was the one, he was the one that started all this. So now, because when he first said it, people were like, oh, why are they kicking Kisuke out? And then him being like, for instigating the Christmas conflict, everyone's like, ooh, that's not good. That's not a good look. you instigating this, you kind of deserve it, because, even Kisuke and like his right hand man was like, if you kick him out, you have to kick me out, and if you kick me out, 200 of Toman members are coming with me. Do you really want to reduce Toman's numbers to that? And I love it, because at that point, Mikey's answer to that was, okay, first off, I don't care. If you instigated this conflict between us, you've betrayed us. Like, you went behind Toman's back to do this. So, we don't need a snake like you in Toman. And then 2, that is when he basically revealed that they were behind the Christmas conflict, which was like, and 2, you're behind this, like you did this. And then that kind of turns everyone, because before that, everyone was probably on their side of like, yeah, if you kick him out, you kick us out. What's up with that? And then now that they heard this, they're like, you know what? Never mind. we are not riding with Kisuke if if he was behind all of this and like almost got some of our members killed, right? No. So I love that. I love Mikey holding his ground and being like, I don't care about what you think you were doing, about why you wanted to do this, about, oh, it was for you, for the good of the group, and I love the little split screen of this where we see Kiski pleading his case, and then we see flashes to the future where, with Takemichi, about other characters talking about Kiski and about like what he was always trying to do, about like, oh, he was always trying to take out Draken, he was always trying to get good with Mikey, he was always, like all this stuff, which is like completely like rivaling everything that Kiski is saying right here in the moment to like plead to Mikey for his case to not be kicked out. I love the way they did that. That was so good, and then for it to end with Mikey being like, no, and then walking away, it's just like, oh, it tastes so sweet, because again, at that point, Takemichi won, right? We have a little epilogue here where everything's great. The My Anime List made a mistake. There's actually only 11 episodes. We don't need 2 more episodes, right? And we see, Mikey here giving Takemichi a bike to be like, oh, well, you're the leader of the first division, you gotta have a bike. And then a nice little comedic moment where Takemichi isn't quite getting Mikey's instructions on how to ride a bike. So that's funny. And then them taking a group photo, because in our mind we know Takemichi is never going to see them again. I mean, he might see them in the future. Well, I guess in the present for Takemichi. But he's gone. Like he's gonna shake Naoto, I believe is his name, Naoto's hand, and he's never coming back to the past. He has no reason to. He won, right? He got Kiski out of here. It's everything's stable. We good, right? And then he comes back, and he's at an event. And like the more you look at it, the more I'm looking at this, I'm like, oh, this is a funeral. Oh, someone's dead. Who's gone? And like you kind of run through your head, and you're like, is it Mikey? Because like stuff starts to add up where you're like, okay, this is why there's more shows. Someone big is dead. Is it Hinata? That'd be terrible. I mean that would be too easy, where it's like she still died. how is this still happening? But then you're like, oh, maybe it's Mikey, because that'd be pretty big, right? But like, whose death would have to happen for him to go back into the past and be like, something else has to change, something else went wrong? And it turns out it was Mitsuya. Mitsuya's dead, which is big. That is a big death. So how did that happen? Why did it happen? What does this mean, right? So now he has to reassess, okay, where's everyone at? Is this the future that we want? Who else is gone? What happened? So that right there is big. They got us. There are 2 more episodes. Now we see why. Now he's going to probably reconvene with Naoto and be like, what is happening? So we'll see. I'm excited for it again. This show, I wasn't sure how excited I was going to be for another Tokyo Revengers, but the show's got me so far, and I'm excited for the next couple episodes, see how this wraps up. So yeah. And that is it. That is now another isekai this week. Good stuff. Again, we finished, 6 of the 10 shows, right? Because we finished My Hero, Blue Lock, Angel, Ice Guy, Revolution, and Trigun. Yeah, so 6 of the 10 shows we finished. Let's see. Buddy Daddies, I think, wraps up next week. SPECTRE, I think, also wraps up next week, so we'll finish a couple more shows next week. Tokyo Revengers is an extra week, and Vinland is gonna, continue to next season. So, but yeah, we're getting there. What I will say is I did already record a spring 2023 preview, so that's gonna go up in a few days, probably Thursday or Friday, because this drops on Monday. So this will be like Thursday or Friday. I'll drop that. So that's me talking about all the shows that I am planning on watching next season. I believe there's a total of 15, so that'd be 15 plus Vinland Saga. Again, that can always change. There'll be some that might be added, some that might be dropped. But some good stuff. So I definitely implore you to first, take a look at the upcoming crop of shows, and then listen to the next episode to see what, all my thoughts are, all the shows that I think are going to be worth watching, so that you're ready. So that you're ready for maybe next week. I don't think that any of the shows will actually air by next week, because that'll be what? That'll be the so Monday is the 27th. That means the Saturday is going to be the 1st, I believe. Yeah, I don't think that any shows will air in time for me to watch them, but we'll be close. So, so yeah, that's it. Yeah, we're wrapping up the season, getting ready for a new one, and I'm excited for it. Always excited for this weird transition period. So, yeah, that is it. Until next time, watch more anime.